So the 12th grade results are out. So I got a mail from a student after seeing the videos which I have released that said, speak to us also because we are also in distress, dilemma, anxiety. So I was like, yeah, I had been there also. That was one of those stages of my life which even gave me a lot of tensions. But believe me, uh, where I am right now, I can vouch for it. And I can tell you, whatever scores you have got, please don't be sad. Don't be, don't be in a state of anxiety. What generally is the trending word today. Rather, I would say these marks won't matter. Believe me, I had these great human beings, those IAS officers, etc., who had released their own mark sheets and telling students, and you can very easily summarize what they all meant to say. That okay, there could be an instance where you might have not scored up to your expectations or what you thought like, but then that's not the end of the life. Your life now begins. In fact, schools, if someone, often asks me what was the best part of your life, I would say it was the school life. Because if you ask me, school has given to me a lot of things, but not those things which really mattered in the, when I went for graduation or even when I went for a job. But rather they created a character out of me. That's exactly what schools were all about. So in this talk, what I'm going to do is, please watch till the end. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to tell you that when you were in school, there were few things which happened with you, probably which you have not realized. That is exactly what matters. And post your schooling also, once you have graduated from school, now you are going into a college. What all are those skills which should work upon? Okay, these are the two things which are very important in this lecture of mine, where I'm going to tell you that in the schools you have already acquired some of these skills. In case if you have not acquired, it's high time that you start doing it, because if you ask me, there were few skills like communication skills which I was a big zero in when I was in school. Then further, when I went to a law school, I started developing those skills of mine. Okay, so I would talk about those skills which you might have already acquired. Rather than your grades, those skills are what are going to matter. 100%, I vouch by it. Those skills are the one which are going to matter once you go to a graduate school and a postgraduate school, and your life much beyond that. Okay, so let's start by one. So the first thing which I'm going to discuss today, in the first half, is about those skills which you have already acquired in your school. The first skill that I'm going to speak about here is communication skills. One of those skills which I was very bad at during my school life, and I did not even take any initiatives, believe me, because whenever the teacher would used to, tell me that it's your turn to go for a thought for the day, or even to read out something called as, news headlines, I would rather shy away. I would fall on my feet and I would say, please don't, mujhko sharam aati hai, I'm shy. So ours was a all boys school, but then everything changed. But I don't see that happening with you guys, because the curriculum has also changed. Things have so much changed now that yes, the school gives you enough opportunities for you to communicate, okay, participate in debates and the presentations, etc., which might have happened during your school life. Believe me, build upon that skill, because that skill is something which is going to be very important in the coming days of your life. You can become an engineer, you can become a doctor, you can become anything. You will not be ever successful in your life if you do not know how to communicate with people. So when I say communication, I don't mean to say that you are just talking to people. It's an art. Now let's take an example of a doctor. You all would try to visit that doctor time and time again, who communicates to you so finely. He is humorous. He also tells you that what exactly is your problem. He also, communicate. If you ask me, I often take my kids to a doctor who's very humorous and who makes my kid swallow those tablets, which gives me a lot of tension when I am handling it. So in a very fun manner, and the kids love him. That's his communication skill. It's not just that he is academically extraordinary. It's also because he knows how to handle the kids. I go to a shop, I see this guy, as in it's a beautiful shop, but he's least interested. He's just sitting and he's making his people run in here and there, and they, make them do the work. Rather, I would go to a store where a person was an owner. takes initiative, communicates with his customers, comes and communicates with us and tells us and inquires, how are you feeling? That's what I'm talking about. And that is something which you can only hone in your college life with unlimited venues to exploit the same. It might start with what you call as in colleges as intro by the seniors. Rather, you should go and speak to your seniors. You know, it's like bragging is something which I'm totally against, but you should interact with your seniors. You should make new friends. I have seen a trend in people that all the friends will throng to a single college and they will all stay together because friendship is more important. But then there are people like me who left his friends of school right from kindergarten to the 12th standard and went to a law school where I was with complete strangers, but then I made friends. Probably that was the change in me, and I would induce all of you to do that, wherever you are. You might have not built upon your communication skill in the school, but then if you go to college, make sure that you're able to do it, because that is one of those skills which will 100% help you not just become a good student in your graduation days, but also see, I often use this in my seminars and webinars, that there is no difference between your laptop, a furniture of a office. If the person who's the head of that institution does not know you by your name, he will know you by your name only when you can communicate well. It's not just that he daily enters the office and you just say good morning and you think that, okay, I'm in the safe zone. It's not loud. It's not like that. You should be the person who should have the willingness to think aloud and speak with him, probably discuss with him certain feedbacks, and using those skills which we want to speak about. So communication skill is something which is very important. Your grades will not be anything. I'm telling you again, your grades will not be anything in future if you cannot do justice to those grades by living up to the marks which are shown in your score sheet. Because no employment, no opportunity, no bank loan also is given to a person unless and until they do not investigate, they do not meet, they do not interview the person. You're getting it? So build it upon. That's very important. The next big thing which you might have developed during your school life is creativity. Now you would say, am I talking about that SUPW period of yours where a teacher would come and teach you crafts, etc.? No, I'm talking about creativity. Creativity could have been cultivated by you in different angles. It can also be while solving accounts problem where you had to balance the balance sheet, uh, in chemistry classes where the teacher was probably trying to tell you that, okay, let's build upon something new, a new compound or something. Creativity can also be built when you were making a very good excuse about why you did not complete your homework. Creativity can also be deduced from the fact that you were someone who were really creative and always very active in the cultural programs. Creativity can also be deduced or can also be seen in the fact that you are someone who is always productive in the nature of thinking out of the box, and you can give a solution to many of the problems. Now, creativity cannot be explained in watertight compartments and say this is what creativity is. There are students who might have already thought about joining what they call as the design school because they're creative in their orientation. But creativity is something which we all have in different fields. A solution to a maths problem is also your creativity. There are people who come out with shortcuts for everything. They are very creative, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Creativity, ability to create something is called as creativity. It can be a poem, it can be a story, it can be even a criticism of something which you have seen and you can see that this is not how it should be. This should have been like this. Believe me, this is again something you have to build upon in your college life, in your graduation years, because believe me, there are very rare people who take creativity seriously and take it to new levels. But on the other hand, if you join any profession, you'll see it's not like you have been given a job from 9 to 5 and you're just sitting and doing what others probably are creating. It's upon you to think about creative solutions. Now, you all know about this guy called as Steve Jobs. He was a creative mind. He did not. He was a dropout in the college, right? But then he was so creative. Even when he had to, present, his communication skills were also something which were on the real prime. As in, Steve Wozniak was the one who created all those devices, but it was Steve Jobs who came on the stage and he would present present his product with such passion and in such creative ways. I would advise you all to go and see the way he introduced the iPod and the iPhone to the public. He was creative in the manner in which he spoke, and he would come and convince people, and people will people will go crazy as if Michael Jackson is performing in front of them in a stage. That's how they used to come out with, wow, that's the creativity I'm speaking about. So when you are in your graduate school, you have to be very clear about one thing. It's not just those classes which matter. There are something called as case study which matters a lot. For all the students who are going for management courses specifically, people think that management courses are generally done by those students who have nothing else to do. I don't think so. Management is what is running the entire world. United States is managing the entire world. Today, Russia is managing a war. Virat Kohli's life needs to be managed. Oh, yes, I'm not joking. He has a manager who looks after his entire day, and even his wife. Right? His wife might have a different manager. So, management is something which is very, very related to us humans and our problems, for which creativity is the solution. Where a person can think, can sit and stay focused. That's why the same genius Steve Jobs said that I would take leadership for my leadership positions. I would rather take people from from humanities and from liberal arts, because they are the people who are more connected to humans, and humans and their problems is something which I'm trying to find solutions to. Getting it? So work on your creativity levels. How would you do that? There are different kinds of honing up your creativity. Probably another session on it, that how you could do that. Because then again, I think that not everything can be spoon fed. I'm just telling you those things which matter rather than those marks which you are more worried about. Okay. So creativity is the key, which I'm 100% sure your school might have encouraged you to. If you are from a very good school, again, there's a disclaimer here. Being a lawyer, I have to give disclaimers. So if you are from a very good school, I'm 100% sure the school might have induced creativity inside you. Okay. Dependability. Now you would ask me, how dependability? How did school encourage in me dependability? Well, guys, it's very simple. All those tasks, all those responsibilities which were given to you, not just by teachers, even with from your friends, when you were conversing with them, when you were talking to them, and when they were putting some task over to you. Now think about it, all those 14 years, right, from kindergarten to your standard 12th. There were so many times that people were dependent on you. Leave your parents alone. I'm talking about school life. The kind of responsibilities that you might have taken, even if it is to be a secret keeper of your closest friend. Believe me, guys, it's one of those virtues. So dependability is not even a quality; it's actually a virtue which you have, which will be put to test now in your college life. And most of the corporates, most of the people who want to hire, or even when if you want to become an entrepreneur, you ask yourself, isn't dependability the very high rank of yours when you want to choose a friend, a life partner? Even if you want to go to a restaurant and you want to have your dinner with your family, isn't dependability on the top of your listings? It is, and that's what you might have learned during your school life. But in case if you are not a dependable person, and when I'm speaking this, you're like, oh my god, no one depended on me. I was not a dependable guy. Pull up your socks. That's one of those things which many HRs of good firms have a very good tactic of finding out from few questions that how dependable you are, because they need people who might be handling portfolios worth crores, who might be people who might be vested with company secrets, confidential secrets, etc. You have to be a dependable person for the same. And that's the reason cheating, cheating, copying, etc. is something which in schools is seen with the stricter angle. Though I am one of those who still believe that the tests even in school should be open book, and that's where you see the dependability more, because let the student go to the library, let him copy, but then there's a difference. Copying is from one source, research is from different source, right? And also putting things in your own words is called as creativity, which we just discussed. Be creative, come out with your own solutions, and then be able to communicate about the same. So the testing should have been done like this. So I'm someone who even says that even prescribed, though my voice is never heard by anyone, that CBSE during the pandemic should have come out with a beautiful way of testing students, that they should have given the question paper to the student and let the student come and present the answers of every question in front of the camera, where the teacher should sit and just judge the student on two things: original thought and also his or her ability to communicate. Because as I said, these are the things which are going to matter in your college life and your way ahead. And also check that how dependable the kid is. It's very simple, like I said, these are those things which many of the big corporates are today looking at. You might have seen a very young, lean guy with Ratan Tata. Have you seen that? He is with him always in those photographs. Who is he? Try finding out. And and just go and check how dependable he is in the life of Ratan Tata. Why he is the one who's so close to him that he's always with him. Ratan Tata, quite sadly, is going through his last phase of life. As he's in that age. I'm not that he's bedridden. God give him more life, because I'm a big fan of him and he's a great Indian. But look at him, that young chap with him. He's the guy who's the most dependable guy probably in the entire Tata group. And that's why, as I said, dependability. Increase your dependability, guys, and think over those scenarios in your school life where you were dependable, when your friend was dependent on you, when the teacher depended on you. And that's something which you need to hone more. Again, I am repeating, those marks, that does not speak about your dependability. That speaks about those 3 hours where you were sitting and you were just able to memorize and bring back those things which you had read a night before. Okay? So these were those things. Now, after your 12th standard, now since you are stepping into a new life, what are those qualities which matter a lot? And believe me, I've researched a lot to find out these things. Treat them very seriously. So let's begin with the first one. Coordination. Believe me, in my own professional life, throughout these years, I have seen people aged 60, 50, 40 failing at coordination. I don't know what is the problem with us, but we Indians want to keep everything with us. And there's something called as credit, which we are so hungry about, that we want everything by us. But that's not how it works. Teamwork is something which we have to understand. We should see the Americans, we should see the Europeans, the way they work, Japanese people, the way they work. It's all about coordination. Something which is very simple. It's about telling the other person what you are doing and what role he could be playing with you. And that's something which will come not by sitting inside the class and attending lectures. Yes, that is also important, because inside a class also there is sometimes coordination which is happening, because the teacher is telling you something, your mind is somewhere else. Coordination is where you are given a task. Probably a fest is happening in your college, and different works are being cut out. You are being given a work to get sponsors. Now, how would you go ahead and coordinate the entire task? You have to create a plan. That's the most important thing. Planning, executing, thinking about the various different dimensions. That's exactly what is the most important. And believe me, that's something which we lack. And that's one skill which many of the corporates today are like hell bent on trying to find out when you go for a job or for employment. Because how good are you? Are you a team player? And that's something which we Indians have to pull up our socks a lot, because my experience of working is what I'm discussing. Coordination is something which we are very bad at. And when now a youngster like you is stepping into a very important part of his life, I would say go ahead, learn the skill called as coordination. And that can be best, you can train your brain in the best manner when you are in the college. I remember when I was in college, we were given tasks like anything by the faculties, be it a freshers party, be it a cricket match, arrange managing things. There had to be coordination. Even when I was in a law firm, it was all about coordinating. It was all about communicating to the person about something at the right time. And that's what coordination is all about. And also, it's not about just communicating. It's also about, in India, I'll tell you something else also. In India, it's not just about communicating. It's also about finding out whether what you have communicated the person has done or not. Cross-checking him, trusting him, obviously, but then cross-checking and making sure that the thing is done. That's the most important thing. Emotional intelligence, that's something which is on the topmost priority of most of the firms, corporates today. Why? There is a very simple reason behind it. The simple reason is we have become so much capitalist in our mind that our mind works like a robot. Now, there is something most of you have heard about artificial intelligence. Emotional intelligence is just the opposite of it, because artificial intelligence is all about what is it programmed for, it will only function for the same. And that's exactly how we humans are becoming. But believe me, emotional intelligence is where you have empathy for people. You have feelings not just for profit, but you are someone who feels for the society. And if he does something, he cares for the future. So there's a lot of talk about environment, saving the environment. Why do we save the environment? Have you ever thought about it? It's very simple. It's for our next future. The people who are coming to your own kids. I know it's too early for me to talk about that, but then there will come a state when you start feeling about the need for thinking on those lines. And that's something which today the corporates are looking forward to. You might have seen that today even the advertisements, the promotional campaigns also are running on these human feelings. The products which we are designing today are also cornered around somewhere on the same lines. Empathy, that's the most important thing, and it comes out of emotional intelligence. Do you feel for the person who's working with you? Are you someone who will reach out with a helping hand? Are you someone who creates a product not just for the sheer profit making, but he knows what needs to be done? As we speak, you should go and Google this up. That aging has become curable. We can cure aging, and death has become optional. That means you can choose whether you want to die or not. That's how science has taken leaps, into making it eureka moments for us. But then emotional intelligence says no, stop it. If you do that, probably Thanos will have to, there has to be a Thanos then who comes and annihilates half of the humans, because then think about it, no one is dying. Do we have resources to sustain them? Okay, that's what emotional intelligence is all about. Sony, Apple, major companies, they're all working on emotional intelligence. They're not against artificial intelligence because they want artificial intelligence to be used in a very constructive manner, where it could be put to better use by the humanity. Right? So please work on developing that emotional intelligence. Be more friendly with your peers. Have that kind of an empathy for people around you. Don't be, I won't use that word, but don't be a politician. Don't be a politics with people. Rather, develop a better and a just human society. That's what people are looking forward to. This is something which someone should have told me when I was your age, and that is called as financial literacy. Believe me, it is the most important thing for you. Financial literacy doesn't mean addition, subtraction, algebra, blah, blah, blah. Financial literacy means how would you handle your finance? How would you pay taxes? What would be your take home when someone is going to give you an offer of employment? How many taxes have to pay? What are the home loan charges, the home loan rates of interest, the RBI regulations, everything. Guys, I don't know if you would be taught this, but you have to learn by yourself. The filing of income tax, the return filing, everything, believe me. No one taught me this. I learned it a very hard way because I thought numbers are not for me. I would rather not look at it. Many betrayals, many harsh lessons in life were given to me, after which I started learning it. And I'm still saying I'm still very, very illiterate when it comes to that. But I don't want you to be like me. Financial literacy is must. You have to know how the money flows. Economics is one topic which I think, I don't know, it has to be changed the way it is looked upon. Most of the time when I was learning economics, it was all about demand, supply. While it was the most important, it was the most important lecture. I just took it as a lecture, statistics and blah 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 and everything else. But then someone should have told me that it's economics which runs the world. If United States of America is hell bent on trying to govern every resource in the world, it's because of economics. Professor Adam Smith is called as the father of economics because of one reason, because he was the first one to say this, that demand and supply, the one who controls both of this will be the king of the world. You're getting it? And economics and financial literacy are like this. They are married to each other. So when you are being taught economics, be very, very attentive, whatever stream you are in. Even if you're a student of medical science, make sure there are so many lectures on YouTube where these things are getting explained. Go and learn these things. Don't let people fool you, because this also helps you to negotiate better salaries. So now let me talk for your own means. It helps you to negotiate better salaries, because you know what are the slabs in which they're putting things, and they are probably reducing what you're going to get at the end of your month. So these things are very important. Again, for which financial stability is must. Financial literacy is must for financial stability. Okay, take it very seriously, guys. This is the most important thing that I have spoken in this lecture. Problem solving skills. That's the most important thing for you during your graduation life. Yeah, you might have adopted the same from your school, because a lot of problems in form of academic things has been done by you. But then most of the time, be it management school, your medical school, law school, anywhere, even in engineering, in schools, the same thing might come time and time again in front of you, where they'll give you a real life case study. They'll give you a real life problem which needs solution. How would you come out with a solution is what matters. There will be many people who would go ahead and try to tweak it. So a problem and a solution is something which you need to understand. Problem is what makes life a bit difficult. A solution is what solves that solution, that problem, and not something which just adjusts it. Many people think that if we adjust a problem, it basically means that things are done. No, solution means something which comes out with a viable solution. So you see a lot of entrepreneurs in India are now coming out with such kind of startups where they are trying to solve that issue of people, which is something which is stuck to them. For example, let's see, things like Dunzo, Zepto, etc. If you ask me, what have they done? It's very simple. If I have gone to my office and I forgot my lunch, so the problem is, oh my God, now I have to go to a restaurant, have food from outside. My wife has made it. It's going to create a big trouble for me. But what has Dunzo or Zepto done? They have agents who will come home, who will take the object, as in the lunch, from home, bring it to my office and drop it to me. Such a small thing. But you know what? There's a transaction cost which is involved in this. And moreover, it's giving me a comfort. It has solved my problem. It's a kind of a luxury, but then again, it has solved a kind of a problem. And that's what problem solving is all about. Few years back, there was a telephone. I don't know how many of you were born during that time, but there was a telephone which was stationary. You had to go to that, and you had to pick up, you had to speak, and it was not something which was mobile. And that's how cellular phone came into being. It became a solution. And there are so many other solutions which human beings are trying to find out. You know, uh, because there are still problems which we face day in, day out. And that is something which I guess something which you have to learn. So from the very first class, from the very first year of yours, you go anywhere, try to locate these problems in your discipline and try to become a problem solver, because this is one of those things which again is going to increase your employability, the leadership skill, which I will talk about in a few minutes later. But that is something which is very, very important. And you have to make sure, again, grades, they do matter, but something which matters more is problem solving techniques. And the last and the final is leadership. Now, this is where, this is the most important and the most difficult one also. Now, a leader is not someone who's always leading. A leader can also be that one person in a group who gives important inputs about something, a scenario which probably a group of friends is facing. Now, leadership is something which you cannot just, build upon it overnight. Situations are the ones which build leadership, and that's what I have seen. Now look at Mr. MS Dhoni. If you have been following him, I've been following him right from the time he played in his match against Kenya and Pakistan A, etc. And I could see the way he used to come and take the ownership, the way he was always with his team, the way he used to encourage people. And the best of the best, when he became a captain also, how he would go ahead and win the cup for India and would give it to the youngest member of the team. Think about it. Give the cup to the youngest member of the team and just walk and stand at the corner of it. That's what leadership is all about. Leadership is about treating your people, your team. First of all, not your team, your own people. That's how I say your own people as family, as people who are working towards a specific objective. That objective is achieved. That doesn't mean that your people go into thin air. They still remain your people. You work for them. You make sure that you create leaders out of your own people. He's not a good leader if he's jealous of his own people. He's like, what if he rises above me? What would be the possible scenario if he becomes more famous than me? That person will never become a leader. That person will always be a pain, believe me. A leader is someone who develops those qualities in those people he is working with, where he wants them to come and sit at the same place where he's sitting today. And he thinks that by the time this happens, I should move one level up. Okay? That's the kind of leadership skill which you need to develop. And that can only be developed when you are in college. And that's something which they are going to give you a scenario in interviews and going to ask you, because it's very simple, guys. As I said, situations make leadership. You can become a leader because you are close to someone, you belong to a family lineage, but you struggle. Look at the famous surname Gandhi. Everything they have. But would you choose that person as your leader? That's the question. It's very simple. Leadership, again, is something which is very painful also, because people point fingers at you. And you should be able to even take that in your stride and smile and say, okay, I committed a mistake, but I'll correct it. That's also part of leadership. And all these things are something which are going to be tested when you're going to grow up and, and probably become CEO of a company, etc. So that's it. To conclude, I would go ahead and say that, those marks will not matter 100%. What is going to matter is all those things which we have discussed today. Try locating these things in your life. Make sure that you are able to sharpen these skills and these qualities and these virtues. And they are the things which are going to matter. You want to become a UPSC, as in you want to crack UPSC, you want to become a IAS, IPS officer, IFS officer. These are those things which really matter. Look at Mr. Jaishankar. He is defending India at the international scenarios. Look at the attitude. Look at the empathy also which he shows. All those attributes which I'm talking about here, they are the ones which make a great person. It's not the grades. Okay. So all the best, guys, for your graduations. Go ahead, enjoy your life, but make sure while you're enjoying, you're also able to, cultivate those things which we have discussed here. Ciao. Bye.